The late Senator John McCain, he was already under fire for his prior attacks on the man. Before the president spoke out this afternoon at a defense plant in Ohio, the president's remarks were unprompted. No reporter asked him a question. It just came from deep within his own mind, and it broke new ground.
I endorsed him at his request, and I gave him the kind of funeral that he wanted, which as president I had to approve. I don't care about this. I didn't get thank you. That's okay. We sent him on the way, but I wasn't a fan of John McCain. So now what we could say is now we're all set. I don't think I have to answer that question, but the press keeps, what do you think of McCain? What do you think? Not my kind of guy, but some people like him, and I think that's great.
No one thanked him for giving John McCain the kind of funeral that John McCain wanted. Now, keep in mind, the president neglects to mention that at the time he had to be pressured into flying White House flags at half staff, even as the rest of official Washington did, because that's what you do for a hero. That's gratitude for you, I guess, in the president's mind. Joining us now is former Nebraska Democratic Senator Bob Kerrey, a Senate colleague of John McCain, and he, like Senator McCain, served incredibly honorably in Vietnam. Senator Kerrey, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
I mean, when you hear the president talking about that he, not that he cares about being thanked, but that he wasn't thanked for the funeral of John McCain.
Look, he said he's not his kind of guy. His kind of guy is the guy that showed up and said, I don't want to go to Vietnam, like he did. He said, I wasn't eligible to go to Vietnam because I had bone spurs. You don't grow out of bone spurs. And I call on the president, get your feet x-rayed. Let's see those x-rays. I want to see. While John McCain was flying combat operations in Vietnam, you were, I think, falsifying that you had bone spurs in order not to go to Vietnam. Now, I know lots of people who avoided the draft, but this isn't what he's saying. He said, I physically couldn't go. Mr. President, get your feet x-rayed and let's see those bone spurs. I don't think he has them.
If he had them then, he would have them now.
He would have them now. It's everything he's saying is bad enough. But when he says he's not my kind of guy, because he went to Vietnam, because he was flying combat missions and got shot down, was held as a prisoner, that's not your kind of guy? Who is your kind of guy? Your friends who falsified their records so they didn't have to go? I think that's the answer. I mean, I think he sees all of us who went to Vietnam as fools. We were the suckers. We were the stupid ones. We were the ones that didn't have the resources to be able to get out of the draft. He had the resources and he got out of it. So show us your bone spurs. Let's see those x-rays. Because I think the x-rays will show that he doesn't have bone spurs. And then he'd have to say, okay, I didn't want to go to Vietnam. I got out of the war. While John McCain was flying combat missions, I made every single effort I could to avoid the draft.
The president has now been to Vietnam twice, obviously not well after the war and as president. He has never visited the Hanoi Hilton. It's not hard to visit the Hanoi Hilton. If you go to Hanoi, it's one of the places you go. I always thought it was very telling that he chose not to actually go there, because he would have to confront the fact that John McCain went through something horrific that he cannot even imagine.
Look, I wish he hadn't gotten out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but I think his trip to Vietnam was enormously important. I think it signaled to the Vietnamese that we're with you. I think it was important that he went there. I think it signaled as well that we're on their side, and it kept the Politburo from going to the Chinese as opposed to lining up with us. So okay, you could have gone to Hanoi. I don't criticize him for what he did going to Hanoi trying to negotiate something with Kim Jong-un. What I want to say is that when he says McCain's not his kind of guy, I think he's saying he's a fool to have gone to Vietnam. He's a sucker. I'm not a sucker, he says. I didn't have to go. I got out of it. Only the suckers went. And I don't feel like I was a sucker to have signed up and gone to Vietnam.
You know, often the strongest people, the president likes to say he went to great schools, that he's incredibly smart, and he certainly portrays himself as this tough guy. He was sent, I guess, for reasons that I think he was sort of had some issues, and was sent to this military school, a high school where they marched around and dressed up as soldiers. He then obviously, as you say, didn't go to Vietnam. I always find that the people who are actually the toughest people, who've actually risked their lives, sacrificed limbs, done incredible things, they're not the ones saying how tough they are.
I think it's probably
people
true.
Like you. It's people.
I think it's probably, but I'll just say it again. I mean, Your kind of guy avoided the draft. And McCain was a sucker. He said, stand why people in 1968 wouldn't want to go, but please don't tell me that you had bone spurs. I want to see, if you had bone spurs, you still have them. Let's see the x-rays.
Does it surprise you at all that more Republicans have not, spoken out? Johnny Isaacson was very strong
It's
on
hard.
this.
Look, Democrats had the same problem that Clinton. Clinton avoided the draft.
Right.
It's not easy to criticize somebody in your own party. I'm sympathetic, especially now because it's almost become a cult.
Right.
So no, I'm very sympathetic why they are behaving the way they're doing. So I think what Johnny Isaacson said was enormously important and very brave, and I'd like to see more of them do it. But
You understand?
I completely understand. But it takes somebody like me who went to Vietnam to say to the president, let's see those x-rays.
Yeah.
Your kind of guy is the guy who didn't go to Vietnam. You look at John McCain, you look at Bob Kerrey, and you say, you suckers went and I didn't.
Senator Kerrey, I appreciate talking to you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The president had been quite muted for a while, and when